Awr Kumasi 97.7 MHz Nunsia Kasiebo.
Abo enyumre nunsia yema etiefo nina ajo aha eye Adventist World Radio Kumasi 97.7 FM so ene eye yawada kitawonsa me de toso eduonu miensa wa afimpinu eni eduonu ensiemu ebraso se enyumre nso oman ni amahudu obi so nsema yensa kan boaboa no yede ebesum se enyumre nunsia kasebo ewo kasafidie so ya kasie enseme bedi mu akutini ebi enese Ghana photo sanfo onimonyamfo Dr. Kesio Atoforsin edi Ghana yesika edi bebo ye ho bra akwakoto mrahye bedwafo anima Ghana fo nina enye bi ebeti
ansa na opani wodi yesika sam ho nsam ebetu dwa wa Ghana mrahye bedwafie no ye bepuni dom kuma na opani a woda wonma no ebisa ne wo hwe animu de wode tu dwa no ye de mu enkyeremu bedum kase
wo ensemfufro emuni ebeba sante mantamu Krowura Otumfo se Tutu ababio ede abasobo kese eko ama Ghana posi sahene enene mrante
Asante mantam haya de ani bekyeremu asokore mampon ye kase abante kwa wanya emfie no edum kuno aposifo ensa so ne panchi ne okoye ye no ye de mu nkyekiremu nyina ebeba wo kase mu
dum jajuma yekuo no ede nsem abetudwa afa Aduma Fashion Training Center ene eja ahye hono no asan de futu atai eto
aban krache pania wo esunafo north ene wo mrahye bedwani won mwaka won abomu ede enuoma akwakoche ahafo mem senior high school emana won mo niam ahye
yebeko enkofo enkroso ewiase enkabom kuba tan kese ede atudwa kirim se efom agudie ene niam ahodo anyame wodi acha ma ahodo no eno ne ma entokwa eto entwa eda
na yade ani nso akyeremu ewo France abrochi memu ye kasai de ejapa no eden atoye eye southwest wa na afo poye FM France aban wotu anamu bia na mo otu ye no yade mu enkyeremu nyina ebeba
wei ene ensenka ye bi ene nwumira pesema kanfo yafa bre na yabetna enkonwa so yede besom se enwumire no nsia kasebo ewo kasafidie so hyene nso se Haxa mixture ene ne capsules Osa pa die ne tamfo kese pa ene Haxa mixture ene ne capsules sanso na ta mame herbal clinic eba no nkwada ayarehwe pa dia wono ene di muntintimman afia wo ho nsem ni na no wo bete ne te edi amount Awr Kumasi 97.7 YouTube ubenyamfoni ni na wahwe awrkumasi.com nso wonsa ebekanyen ewo ho sanso ena Awr Kumasi 97.7 app no ubenyayen ewo so eni amobeti na nwumre se de kase besom mu eyeme ni ansa mene
abina adomako redu
yetwa ye hutew ye ba ye de kase ni nkyeremu asom mu Afe yentie kase no enkyeremu Fotosanfo edema oman Ghana onimonyamfo Dr. Kesio Atoforsin ene wodi nani kyeremu ewo mrahye bedwafie na wodi nani kyeremu ewo hono ni nina ne se Ghana wo men ende yedu ni mfimfin enti wo se wo bo modin ase afi ne du ni mfimfin ne de sika ye de bebo Ghana oman no ho bra no wodi ebetu Ghana fo nina animu na wo pie mu ewo mrahye bedwafie ene wodi nsema hodo etu dwa no wo kyeremu se ene wo hwe esuyiri a ebaye bosumi atwa mu ne da na etoso dionu enkron ewon krampumpuni mantem ekofa nsem ene awrahosem akese ba yesanse enipa baburu aduasa wo mo eto anananom ewon siedo no aban abomodia apefoto kese bi de si ho a wo yisika ede afri mu ede ama asoye no se wonhwe na enipa wo mo ho kan ye nina no wo ma wo nso wo ho enha wo mo enu akire no sika no ebesa boa se de beya dachi bia no ye betumi esi ensuyiri ano kwan ewo oman emu eno ena openia wo no wo baga na ha yesika sem nina wo hwe so Dr. Kesel Atofo sinkopie mu omrahye bedwafie no wo de sa ensemu etudwa ene ensema hodo yentie de wo kan ye edefa ensuyiri sika aban ede ekọ ako abua womu ho ekadwa mu nina.
Before I proceed with this media fiscal policy review, I wish to acknowledge the devastating floods that struck part of our country last month. Right, Honorable Speaker, as honorable members will recall, the floods claimed lives, displaced families, destroyed businesses, and caused extensive damage to public infrastructure. Ghana was not alone. Similar floods also affected Nigeria, La Côte d'Ivoire, and Sierra Leone, highlighting the growing flood risk across West African coastline and the effects of climate change. Mr. Speaker, government responded swiftly by visiting the hardest hit communities, releasing funds for emergency relief, and launching a nationwide cleanup exercise. On the direction of His Excellency the President, I am making available additional resources for ongoing dredging and structuring critical drains in the affected areas. Mr. Speaker, His Excellency the President has directed the Ministry of Works, Housing and Water Resources to develop a comprehensive and permanent solution to flooding in Accra and other flood-prone areas across the country. The necessary funding for the implementation of this permanent solution will be provided in the 2027 budget and the medium term.
Na Ghana photo samfo esan edito aso ekire mu se no said the beya enwumakuo ahodo eya aban dia wonkofa eka twitwiridie emfa mambeto aban no eso enti wode nhyehyeye aba wo kire mu se de wo ye ekuo a mo hye aban asenko ade sika mudi bedi dwuma no agese naso ye no apene so na wo bia ambeka sika afa ne nsa se de beya beboa ama nkuntabuo nso ebetumi agina pi e wa aban enwumakuo ahodo no ninemu.
State-owned enterprises are now bound by the commitment authorization, restraining them from spending beyond their means. Mr. Speaker, over the last 10 years, liabilities of state-owned enterprises have added the equivalent of about 3% of GDP to Ghana's public debt every single year. Mr. Speaker, this occurred because state-owned enterprises failed to honor their contractual obligation, compelling government to assume and settle those liabilities. This contributed to the sharp rise in Ghana's public debt. As a result, Mr. Speaker, the resources that would have financed critical infrastructure were used to pay those SOEs' debt. This is part of the reason why Ghana's debt grew unsustainably without the bridges, roads, or hospitals to show for. Right, Honorable Speaker, what is the point of ensuring that ministries and even parliament live within their means if state-owned enterprises are permitted to run up liabilities that the taxpayer are ultimately forced to pay? Mr. Speaker, it is therefore important to recognize that Ghana's debt challenge was driven not only by fiscal deficit, but also by the unchecked accumulation of liabilities by state-owned enterprises. This is precisely why the commitment authorization regime would have been meaningless and ultimately ineffective had state-owned enterprises been excluded from its coverage.
Odumonyam for Dr. Kesel Atofo esan edito aso chire mu ese ebra NDC amanyokuo no wo mu edi nkunim wa fimpinu ni eduonu enan abatu no no wo ba ya pe ene wo hu se ene Ghana eto ahodo a yede egu ho se nipa ntua no emfaso eni bebre so a ede a ho kire mom ena abetwetwere timamufo no wo mu komu enam so ema eto a ede nipa kwa ho kire mu no weyi afi wa eboa ama Ghana fo ni nanso wo mu ho ahenhan wo mu.
The second key transformational policy reform was the modernization of Ghana's tax regime. The objective was very clear. First, to restore investor confidence. Second, to revive private enterprises. Third, to provide a relief to households and businesses, and also to increase domestic revenue through better policy, stronger compliance, and more efficient administration, not through higher tax reforms. We therefore abolished a number of nuisance taxes, including the following: e-levy, betting tax, COVID-19 health recovery levy, emission tax, VAT on motor insurance. Mr. Speaker, for the first time since 2015, we undertook comprehensive VAT reforms, removing distortions, improving efficiency, and strengthening compliance. More importantly, the reforms have left businesses with more working capital to invest, expand, and create jobs. We also introduced a sliding scale royalty regime for gold to ensure that Ghanaian people receive a fairer share of the economic returns from their natural resources.
Onmonyamfo atofo sen esan edito aso ekiremu se ene waba mrahye bedwafi a wo bekenkan ensem ehye ne bo no wo beyini ni na aguo na de ewose Ghana fo ditie nso wo mu atibi na wo kiremu se eya na obi ti baabi a no wo ka se ne aban no wo mbo no mode no wo kiremu se munim eka twitwiri di a His Excellency John Dramani Mahama wo befura benwa no na egu Ghana so a enka mo bebo nsem ama no wo kiremu a eka no na eye amene Ghana fo ama na abroso enti wo mo baaye no na wo se wo prapra fie ni na se de be ya bibia nso ebededa na kwem ansa na mpuntudwuma ahyase aba eno so sei eno wode etu edwa.
President Mahama inherited an economy on its knees. Right, Honorable Speaker, the economic crisis of 2022 was not merely an accident. It was the consequences of a series of wrong policy choices. Choices about reckless spending, choices about excessive and binge borrowing, choices about lack of accountability, and a failure to level with the people of Ghana about the true state of the Ghanaian economy. Mr. Speaker, the consequences of those wrong choices for the Ghanaian people were so severe. The cedi depreciated at levels never seen before, eroding savings, businesses, business capital, and purchasing power of millions of Ghanaians. Inflation exceeded 50%, dramatically increasing the cost of living and placing basic necessities beyond the reach of many people. Real disposable incomes declined sharply. Interest rates surged, making credit expensive for the private sector. Investor confidence collapsed. International reserves fell to extremely low levels. International credit rating agencies downgraded Ghana's sovereign debt to levels never seen in our history. Mr. Speaker, Ghana lost access to the international capital market. The previous government implemented most painful debt restructuring program that imposed crude and painful haircuts on domestic and external bondholders. Financial institutions and individual bondholders also suffered significant losses, with many losing their lifetime of savings.
Wo wie ye enode eto aso de enwumre ye di betwa to na de aka no nyame ya do cha no pa ye de abedan mu en wo kiremu se mu hu se Ghana sesei ye economy na gina ne naso ema dollar no wontumi ntu America nko nya cedi ni biomu a na enye se wo mu sore ya ene ba mu na momu no aban na di ne hu ni papa wonto ne ma basa te sa aban dada no a won de wo betrans wo temedase abrawa no ne kura so wo kwa kwaji bie no aban we de wodi ne hu ni awosikasem mu a eno na aboa ama Ghana dollar no wontumi enkonja yesidi no.
State-owned progress Ghana is recording today did not happen by chance. Some have suggested that Our recent macroeconomic gains are simply the product of good fortune. Others have attributed the recovery solely to the debt restructuring program or the IMF program inherited in 2025. But Mr. Speaker, I firmly disagree. Our recovery is as a result of superior economic management. Mr. Speaker, for emphasis, I firmly disagree. Ghana's recovery is as a result of superior economic management. Debt restructuring may create fiscal space, but it does not create fiscal discipline. Right, Honorable Speaker, an IMF program may provide a framework, but it cannot substitute for sound policy, disciplined implementation, and political will. Sustainable economic recovery is built on good policy choices, competent economic management, and disciplined execution, and most importantly, courageous leadership. Mr. Speaker, the evidence before us is overwhelming. Ghana's recovery has been driven by a deliberate program of economic reforms implemented since President Mahama assumed office in January 2025. These reforms have strengthened public financial management, restored fiscal credibility, improved revenue mobilization, reduced fiscal risk, and reinforced macroeconomic stability. The results speak for themselves. Every major macroeconomic indicator has improved significantly. These outcomes are not accidental. They are the product of reforms, discipline, and sound economic management.
Ghana photo for onumunyamfo Dr. Keso Ato Forcing ena Ghana yesike de bebo ye ho bra media budget no wode emu nchechemu ato yenim
na wo sasem ye mu bra na ye photo for de na ni echemu ewo mrahebedwafie na afa ye sika ba bi e di akodu e ka da ho ene kwan ye befa so atu anamo akoyanim ewo adwade ni sikasemu no ene ye bopini mpanimfo dodo no amra hebedwafo ene asoafo dodo no ebepie ho bisebisa wonum ensem bi opani ba kwa ye bopini no na ye je na no asem ansana opani de na no disem eba ewo mrahebedwafie eye dom kuma no opani a woda wonum ano mechew ni onyamfo Alexander Afenyo Markins ye bopini opani bisa ne se wono ahwa de na wo hwa animu sa papa yi de betu dwa no wo kire se ansana ne wono ba bekinka budget mu nsensema na so mbe review no aban no di kan ba bonten ba bobo nioma bi so efa ya konhumasem so na no ena figures ana numbers ya bobo ye ne wo de kokko esa ma eye opani a wo ye Dr. Keso Ato Forcing say enya number ne hia na emom ye pese ye boto no emu ye Ghana ni e de nsa ehye boto ma ekosi bibi so na ma wo mo nso eho asepe wono enti wono de enya numbers asem e na wo hwe e wo Ghana emrahebedwafie enede yanko minority leader Alexander Afenyo Markins wona fei ne nsemu a ansana no opani ekopie wode tu dwa no yenkotiemra
numbers, macroeconomic data, that is not a reflection of economic growth. Economic growth is felt in the pocket. Are the youth on the streets of our country, urban and rural, feeling assured that there are jobs for them? No. Are the farmers seeing an impact in the work they do as farmers? No. Maize, rice cultivation is getting a hard hit because importation of rice and maize are cheaper than locally produced. So obviously, if somebody is locally producing rice and maize and it's expensive and is not getting a market for the produce, and somebody is importing and it is cheaper, a government in charge of such an economy is obviously involved in policy mismatch. There is mismatch in policy, so you are achieving nothing. They promised 24-hour economy, 1.5 years. What are the incentives in place to ensure that the private sector takes advantage to grow the economy. If you want to say 24-hour economy, well, that is good. You put in place the supporting pillars, the necessary support systems. One key thing in ensuring that is cheaper energy costs, electricity. They have increased electricity by almost 30%. Industry is suffering, households are suffering. Then you say you want to do 24-hour economy. The Akufo-Addo 1D 1F initiative simply was to create an incentive through taxation so that you bring your equipment in without paying taxes, you bring your raw materials in without paying taxes, and an alternative as a replacement for the 1D 1F, none.
Onyonyafo afenyo marking sade eto aso se ene ukọ gold board gold ni emu nsensemu a nia ekoso wo no enye ade papa kra wode tudwasa ne obora gold board ekapa eda ho no ene aban wo mufra aban nwa so ebeba beye ensem pii yenko na no nso de okafa ho no yenkotiemra.
I don't see it. Gold board is incurring a lot of losses. It is a huge challenge we are having at gold board. The day Ghanaians would open and lift the veil on gold board, you'll be shocked. The losses are huge, and nobody should be misled by all these their so-called media outing and saying all manner of things. They should open their books. If you say you've declared profit, at what cost? Profit at what cost? So we are watching government. We know that so far they've not been able to fulfill their promises. So far they have disappointed the youth. The jobs they promised to create, they've not created them. The growth that we're expecting, we are not seeing them. Areas of infrastructure, roads, expansion of facilities in our hospitals, our schools, they are not showing.
Onyonyamfo afenyo marking anusi ye ena nhia so mrahye bedwani onyonyamfo Dr. Stephen Amwa ene odi nsem bi atudwa efa big push program ne ho yenkoni enkotimra.
Translation of this into secondary macro performance as a country, we don't see anything. Now they want to even borrow to pay free SHS. Now they want to borrow to do things that will not earn us any sustainable resource. Mr. Speaker, they are talking about 24-hour economy. They are talking about big push. The last time I checked, big push was in the collect. Go and check. They are pushing. There's nothing, no resource.
Nia yeti twa ato yi eje nhia so abato mpesua so pania wogina wo no manam Dr. Stephen Amwa.
Yetwa kasiano eso ni efimrahye bedwafie akọ ensemfoforo emu. Na asoye aban apa wo mo asi wo se enipa bonfo ebe bewura oman bi mu a wonso woni wo mu emfa ensie ni mekire National Counter Terrorism Fusion Center wo mu peni a woda wo no Major General Timothy Bata Bana edia tudwa ekire mu se pa no de sede wo ba ebibre mu hanomu no enipa bonfo apeja wo mu ehosoro no ano edin papa wode ato ebibiman ni na enim se wonhwe yie pa na wo mu ahye so ni na no wo ma bambo ensem NCP na ensita wode atudwa ekire mu se ohanchiche mu ebupan no edu 14% ena efi mfimpinu ene aduonu nan bepim sa bre ni de apeja ne ho mene so pa ewo se nipa bonfo wode won ho ekowuro manfoforo bim akoto hye nipa wo mu ewo ho so dwumadie kase eba so ewo enkran pumpuni mantemu anu wato ne din se Sahel Peace Initiative in Accra en openi di kotu dwase se de be ya somdwe ebeba ebibre man mu hanina na nipa bonfo wo beto sha man hodo so de bi agintre ha ewo Nigeria man no ni Burkina Faso ni nasefo no enko tie te se we bibiman ni na mu no yembo modern se ye bebo ye ho modin bia na ye kɔ yahye so nina ye betumi abɔ ban wo san di to dwa sɛ enipa wo mo bɔ ban ɛwɔ ɔman bia mu no ye nhwɛ sɛ ye befa enipa wo mo ɛwɔ pepa sɛ wo bɛyɛ sɛ adwuma no sɛ de bɛyɛ bambɔ ho nsɛm ɛbɛgyina ɛwɔ bibimam mu na yetumi etu nipa bɔnefoɔ wo mo ase krakra ɛde efre bibimam na asomdwe nso atena ebibremu Major General Timothy Bana edina nu ji ensem so etu edwa.
This period of 10 years, we had a total of 99,000 deaths. A product of a little over 23,000 attacks. So almost 34,000 attacks, resulting in more than 100,000 deaths, or about 100,000 deaths. So on the average, on a daily basis like this today, we expect that we'll be losing we'll be having some 6 attacks within the sub-region, and 25 lives most likely will be lost. And this should be disturbing. So, if you look at this and you are not worried, and you still describe it as an exaggeration, then maybe there's something that needs to be looked at. Because we talk about human lives, we're not talking about, with all respect, animal lives. We don't talk about theoretical things. We talk about verified data.
Wopenia wada asya wo mo ehwe se basabasaye entumi mbepiem ewo oman Ghana mu Major General Timothy Bana ene akotie nene no.
Emranim na oman Ghana nyina yenso ya ne no ewo bika eye opani efe ne Henan Abdulwahab Aludiba sa opani wono na ye opani pa na woda NAFCO eye National Food Buffer Stock Company ano na sa adwumakuo yi ene asa aduane busu a wonum aban adwuma wonum neto edi bi esie afa suku ahodo a sha aban ase nyina no senior high ahodo no sa adwumakuo yi ene di nuane ahodo ekokoma wo mu na opani da no bra ote adwam sapani no ene esikase mu nioma bi ankoye ama Ghana esika million aduoson wotwe ene fa ne nsase na aban wonum ye hwehwemu no se ato ache opani nti se de ne famra kwanso no ene ekwadu no mako aduo no ne de bɔ no kwadu ade bɔ no ne yire na ache wono ankasa de edunsia ana ne yire de emu enan ne yire ane faisa se du wuni wonum nyina ehwe se ne kwadu aduonu ade abɔ wo mo no omu betimi atete wonum ho na eye high court wonum wo ha na omunya krata edi free opani na lawyer for kire se sade ya bɔ no kwadu ahodo kwadu no ka enya nsakiraye wom ensakiraye a yenye wom no se ye kwadu 20 no eye number 9 ene number 14 kwadu etoso nkono ne dunan no enka wo munye ensakiraye wom na nka ene ye mfa kwete kwan bi so na ne kwadu ahodo ni nyina eso ntete na ne nka wo mfa ne hu ni eno na mpanimfo kire mu se enya ade a wo mo bepene da na oman ga na opani a wogina ya na mu ewo court aban lawyer pani abedi akire Dr. Justice Remsai wono ena ejina mu a wo mo kire se sade ne ma akono enya ade a wo mo so ebepene so da yenko na yenko tie lawyer Godfred Yeboa dame ensam ekɔso no na wontwa eho emfonyini emfankyere ye.
The AG, the prosecution has been asked to amend 2 of the charges. Is that comforting enough for you?
Well, I think that first and foremost it demonstrates the defect that the charge sheet was plagued with. But I think that the judge should have gone further because all the charges, in my view, are defective. I mean, the first point that he made that yes, he recognizes, the judge himself recognized that the offense of stealing is actually one arising out of various payments, different payments and all that. That should necessarily also have warranted an order for the prosecution to go and amend. Because you cannot have various payments, the number of which we do not know, when each of them occurred, we do not know, where they occurred, we do not know, they are not disclosed on the charge sheet, and then you say that, well, you're not going to order them to amend, and that charge is proper. That charge cannot be proper. So even though they've been ordered to amend some of the charges, we will still file an appeal. or filed an appeal against him. But I think the decision was not so sound. With the greatest respect to the judge, and he himself acknowledged that yes, every decision is appealable, and is all with a view to developing the criminal jurisprudence properly. And my consideration professionally is to ensure that the rights of my clients as like accused person are protected in every regard before the trial commences. It's not just a matter of delay or anything, it's just a matter of ensuring that he properly ascertains the charges that are brought against him. And you cannot have a sum of 15 million put together in one count and you state in the same count that they consist of several payments. Which several payments? When did each take place? Are they related? Definitely they're not related. And we know how buffer stock operates. It's actually supply of foodstuffs to various institutions. So you can have one transaction affecting a school in the north, Laura Secondary School, and another transaction also affecting another school, even in the Upper East region or Upper West region. And so how does the accused person proceed? He cannot be proceeding when his hands have been tied to his back and his eyes blindfolded. Definitely. They cannot be blindfolded of the accused person and for him to be ordered to box in the dark.
What will you say that?
Lawyer Wojnamu na wachucha ede ama Ora Henan Abdul Wahab aludiba ona oye penimpa woda nafco ano na yete se wode ensem bi etudwa wabra wonu epie free court dan
Free court wo enkran na yemfree ani nkyeremu ewo Asante Mantam yi emu ne eba Asante Mantam dia kukurudu eshi rado wo mo amanyokuo MPP empenifo wo mo Asante Mantam en wo kyerese pass wo betra sed won sahye wo demirfem ahwe ema kane Mantami wo mo MPP penia na woda wo ma Bernard Entwibu asiako a dodo no a efre ne chema wuntumi yede ne bekwa akotwiri mu ewo ensawe ma won ka hwe mfa ho no ene na enye ne kwan so enam so emenedie mpanifo ekodi ehia no wo twen se kane mampania bedi ekire Dr. Mamudu Bawomia wo beba bepie mu na wo mu ni na ka won ho abom wetu anamo a ebeboa ama Bernard Entwibu asiako chema wuntumi yebeyi no edi ne fie ase na abra MPP mpanifo ko hia mu no wo kire se de ekoso no eni enyan ayese afia pima hankron di okron mienu eben so a na amanyoko NDC teso wo mo je Ghana boso a eye de wo mo pa bia de kire wo bia enu mu kra no emu wo mabem ema wa fimpinu no wo mo baji 2 media enya de a chema wuntumi kira ya kire no ebebu wo mo MPP fo wo mabem wo be koso agina won na so apria ediama amanyoko no kopem se enkunim ebeba beye chema wuntumi ene amanyoko ni na edi ebra mpanifo wo mu kodi ehyemu wo ha wo to ye ni abreko a wo kasa no ene ekotete ho etwen kakra egu ye fidie so
1992 yehu ne eba ye na even revolution ye wura bu saa ebeje power nti ne wo ye die eye ketekete ede maye se osore ehunahuna ne pa yesu ye be sore ehunahuna yenye ntumu nde yenye ntumu china because yenyina ye Ghana fo ana ye wa hasi enye ye se NDC fo etu galam say everywhere a wuntumi nchi obia na wuntumi dia owo concession owo nkrata owo lances wo ho se obia kwakotu e wo ne ye fresh and the concession ti no ni ye kwakochi ye fresh ayi wuntumi na ye jai nipa no rider no ono ekoye ye fresh galam say e wo concession no nti sa hunahuna no emma so china
Empenifo a wo mo wo MPP amanyoko mu e wa Asante Mantam ne yate se wode atudwa se wo mpene emachema wuntumi enkode fiase nne ena hunahuna nso de enya de a NDC amanyoko no obetumi ehunahuna wo mo
yemfa ya ninkyeremu ewo asokori mampon na ye kwade ana abrante kwa wanya emfie no edunkono wono de na dwuma waya na se nkofo akobre esam wo mo anim fifre ede apesika na asa wato ne fon no ene obeto ahye so age wo ho nioma sabria na ene ode sekan anansa de ye papa no makuafo beka ne se kotokuro bi ekoto hye opani bi so age ne fon ewo anadwo de suo mu na nipa bi ne ma wo ho ye ha bo aposifo amane se so wa ma wo ho anye ha na mfa wani ankyemu ewo asokore mampo a asem obete no enye de apolisifo kodru ho na nipa ya bo no ye de sekan ye atwitwa no na moja pram no wa ye kaja da ho no a enye nyame ene fafia ankayante asempa wɔn de no ɛkɔ Kwame Nkrumah suapɔn ayaresabea na posifoɔ bɔpene ɛyɛ owura yɛ yɛ kana asɛmi ɛyɛ Ahmed Mustafa kwahwehwɛ mmea wɔte owie yɛ no osuro ɛna ɔkɔpɛ baabi ɛbɔ ne ho adwa na wɔn nso ti no kwahwehwɛ ne nneɛma wɔde di dwuma ɛhɔ ɛna wɔn kɔ hun sɛ nipa yɛ wɔatwitwa no anaasɛ nkɔɔ pɛsɛ wɔgye ne nkwa firi ne nsam ne phone ɛwɔ hɔ ne nneɛma pii ne sekana wɔde di saa nyambra asɛm no ɛwɔ hɔ apolisifoɔ gu so ɛyɛ asɛm yi mu nhwehwɛmu de afutuo nso ɛkɔ amatemɛmufoɔ sɛ yɛnya ahwɛ yie papaapa wɔ abra wo bepie afiri wo fie anadwo no ɛne kwan sɛ yɛnante mmɔnten so basa na yɛakwankohyia nipa bɔnfo bia ama yɛn so yɛ ho ankyere
Abraham nim sa ba mu anu wɔ mfinhyia dunkron
bante kwa
19 ɛna nipakum na wɔde ahyɛ abrabɔ no ase yɛda so a egyina asante mantam yi emu ɛne okurowura Otumfo opem so Osei Tutu abio ɛde atodwa ɛkyerɛ mu sɛ wobi yɛ ade a wɔse yɛbɔ na baso sɛ wɔmbɔ na baso a ɛnkɔsɛ ni din enti wɔde abasobɔ a emu ɛdene kyenkyerɛnche akɔ ama Ghana posifo ni na wɔmo ɛsahene wɔwura Christian tete yohunu ɛne wɔkyerɛ mu sɛ efiri bra wɔne ne Black Maria emrante no bepie mu ewa asante mantem no ene bebi a yeton aban keteku amoa bonsam tawa widi bebi a yeton coke mekire cocaine na yesan etwe nimi esan shibie edeka wono ene mpanifo yapo won homodin ewurawura ni ntwiro no ne ntwira naso ninan akwa yenhwehwemu ache enipa wode won ho ehye enuboni nom ene ne tomu na no na asantemanwura Otumfo Osei Tutu ababi odi tudwa kyerem se wobo Ghana posi sahene Christian tete yohunu abaso a na wo se fata isan se bekwen din ye fata no a na eya akunu ntia se de papa ba ye waboa ama asomudwe etumi aba na eba no posifo wo madwuma wo ye wotumi wurawura mu bebi anka enkane wo kwa enye ye nina wotumi kɔ hɔ ekodi dwumaso no ene wo sa abasobode wo we no de tu dwese ne mrante no eya wo mu ye wo mu nim huhu dodo eno de ya na ebo hu kakra nti wo mu hwe ne ye no wie ye no ene wo kyerem se ebre bia wo mu behia bibia ebeboa wo mu adwuma ama bambɔ nsɛm egina pi ACP ejina ne naso power asante mantem ha no wo mo ba wono asantemanwura Otumfo Osei Tutu naso a enya de obepupu niti yenkotie ensem a krowura ede eto aposifo a wo bɔ ban ewa asante mantem enim
times so I go to name that man up on ma don't fire na this is shoma and ya catch no kwa mofa so ayama sese de ni mo adwo papa ebe bia mo bru right na ni papa bru wo ha ni eche kwa mu chi and I say I'm the man and say mo ya magana man na chose adi ahwe na aduma na akoya tu watch aduma so wo do for the just ya sha we yi mo no chose video mo so mbetre Mesem someone come on sana money. We are in a chance no being so bubble for fruit. And they do so bubble for fruit. So when it took around on so prepared for fruit, didn't I just hear me any doubt? Yeah, is a petty master, ammonia monsa, man. As a Siano, the moon of my nephew, Casabasano, Necronon, and Yemen, near my fatal for Yano, Bukusua Moyo, no trust her. When I'm so sick with our own process to Papa, yes, I must say. Woman in my
asantemanwura Otumfo Osei Tutu ababio ene etese wode abasobɔ kese ekwama Ghana apolisifo edwumaku no
Yensa na ne ye ho ne yemfa ye ni enkyeremu ewa sokore mampon kropon ni mu ye kasai ene a polisifo mu ye hwehwemu dendenden wa abro mu ko hu se abrantie bi wawu eda ye asewase airline na brante obi nim baabi a wo firi obi nim na bose obi ntimi nka bibia emfa no ho na wawu eda ho na de nti a ne abo won mu pusama won mu suro se enche pi na eye zabu nzongo ho no abrante e fa no Yusuf Zakari won nso won mu ko hunu se won nso wato nananom ewo ensiedo ewo asokore mampom mensini nimu anti na wei akwa wa ama na ye mienu ama niema ni eye ayenyan na ye bopne eye assemblyman na wono ewo ho ema ne di enchiremu ma ye se won chiremu anase wo bibi ka efa ho ne a ekoso nansen ewo zabuzongo ye bopne onyonyamfo Hussein Mohammed ono na ye assemblyman ewo Zabuzongo electoral area man kan yesi wo ene ne anamo ampanimfo nso atu ede ekire yenkotimra
security say ebeya anytime close no omunam ha anytime enya ho was a hana situation no about say anytime omunam go up and down ebeboa na neighborhood no so omo ho neighborhood no motivation can be a yan omo omo activities no perform nti for TMA etumi wa neighborhood no na omo support police for night patrols okay beboa pa
ya Zabuzongo electoral area ewa sokore mampom mensini ni mu onyonyamfo Hussein Mohammed awuwu a ekoso wo ho nansen no na opani de ehonsam atudwan
Wasugusu tie Adventist World Radio Kumasi 97.7 FM enwumre no nsia kasebo ene yawada kitawonsa bosume de toso eduonu miensa wa fimpinu eni eduonu ensia emu kasiye woko YouTube Awr Kumasi 97.7 a ensa ebeka enfoni ahodo no na wahwe awrkumasi.com enafi Awr Kumasi 97.7 ye app no nso no wonsa ebekanyen ewoso na asiankoma atamame herbal clinic enafi Haxa mixture enene capsules womo ena asoyasin yebegina ensemu so na yetwa ye ho ye ba yebeto akase ne so amamo Yeda etiefo ase semwefidie no edaso da Adventist World Radio Kumasi 97.7 FM so enwumre no nsi akasebo ene egusu a yetinkonwa so ede esomo yeda so a ejina asante mantam yi emu ena nopa enyade asemde esiye ninina enese biaya watu din se Aduma Fashion Training Center eno wo hwe no wotete enkwada asabio wo mu de wo se enwomesua won fanto nchen kakra ensa no dwuma ho hia enti wo beye bie ene fashion etreye no a ene de keka ho so obepempam ntade ahodo ne nam kromu a wo bia hu ya wakase ene de wo ho ayefe na Adoma Fashion Training Center ewo top high a eno ewo Kumasi krodua yimu eja eto ho na ya wrehosem pa enumu ene ese dabi eja na etotototo bia ya hodo no adoso efi afra se ebe pima fi we no ene yebekase yewura fi we mpodi nke eja na kofom kakra esanse wa fimpinu ne eduonu num no na ewo soro pa yakwa ene ese dabi dumja adwuma yekuofue mo wehe mo mra na mo mbebo ye nchiremu eden na esie ebreben ena munya amanebo no seja ato Adoma Fashion Training Center ebreben na mo bedu ho anamo benso ena mutu edefa ejai ni dum no ho ye ni mpenifo a wo mo ye adwuma ewo dumja so ye no etwetwe nkomo sei ena wode to yenim
at exactly 07:40 hours this morning we received a call reporting an outbreak of fire at Eija. Our men got here at 07:45. On arrival, we observed that the fire had escalated. So we requested another appliance from the Sokorimampon fire station. Both teams together in firefighting were able to bring the fire under control. So currently the fire has been fully extinguished.
So how many buildings?
It is one structure. Fortunately for our works, the fire was not able to spread. So it's currently one structure. Where the fire developed is where the fire was contained.
Any injury?
We've not recorded any injuries. It is some of the workers who are here who are down. We are trying our possible best to encourage them, urge them on. And I've seen the National Disaster Management Organization officers here. It's our hope that they're able to come to their aid.
Now, what next?
Our fire investigation. We are currently doing our fire investigation. We've not been able to determine the cause of fire. But we will take this opportunity to also appeal to the citizens. We are told there were fire extinguishers in the premises. Unfortunately, the courage and the technical know-how to operate them brought the situation to this point. It's our hope that when the occupants or owners of premises acquire fire extinguishers, they should reach out to the fire stations closer to them to educate them on the use of the fire extinguisher when a fire occurs.
Okay, so.
Na wopenia no si ye ene atwe ben emabawa wo mu ye adwuma ewo Adoma Fashion Training Center ho bi ne bi se wo mu se ka kum ye gino koku enum mu ana na mu gina ho ena asemu esi ye fankyeremu ebo ye ne yetiefo
Now, move from one time then on mobile, move with two hands.
Wuko piemu ewo Adoma Fashion Training Center adwumayefo a wo mo ho bi ene wode atu dwa se anopai wo mo prapra ho wieye no ene wote se ase bibi bon wo ho a akofa oyeni kase we nso abetwetwere eye dwumaku no ekum
Yemfa sante mantamu na yemfa yeni enchiremu ewo ahafo mantamu bosome ni da toso edumiensa ena ahafo mem SHS ena madom no ejato mu enam soma adesuafo aduosonson ena wo mu amfa bibia ewo mu na ye kasa de ye onyonyafo Joseph Aparibo ono eye aban na musini wono ene mrahye bedwani a wo ho onyonyafo Haruna Mohammed ena mpanimfo e kan wotipam ho ebo ye get found mu ekoyi sika de atoto enioma adesuafo yi wonum ebeje di atwitwetwa wonum hu bi na enioma hodo a moto ye no ebi ye mattress eno aduowatwe afe bombo anase beka na se blanket no eno nso aduowatwe kuruwa ho enioma bia adesuafo na sese wonye bia no empanimfo kan wotipam ho eto enioma yi ede ema wonum yemko na onyonyamfo Aparibo bra ode enioma yi ko ensem ode tu dwa no yenko tie bi mba
ya ni tia last week memsi high school guest dormitory ejatum anajubi nyamene yeda na sese amfa trenchen bia anto mofra no eno ho dwumadi no MP ni ha Haruna Mohammed oni constituency ya enti no eba asa me bo na mane na ye ba school mu ha be hwe ni isi ye ti head my tia sese be break o ma akofie ne no mbesen aba nti yeso ye kan etibom myself as the MC, the MP for Asunafo Haruna Mohammed, together with Nadmo, Seba, na Yedi Nema Edi Brem Cloud. And Tinemo Yabai, Cladoma affected was 77, and Tine Abramo mattress 80, and the Abramo blanket is 80. Ne bucket of midgerim, kappa, medunum shoe, and our physical Samana, or Modbesano, Cacrano.
One way affected was 77
or Moncheman Abramo and 12 modicians. And no chino, it was a dormitory, it was bent beyond renovation. Now, Untimi renovated. Now I say, ye be found. The MP Adauroma, and then a casa quickly and no move to get fund and no Mukudin Comba and Yanko Pardon, get fund emergency fund. No, na Omar release say, Yamrani Messi. dormitory ne 10 times one fa mmofra no we the kama pa amofra no omo benya na omo adam enti nuhu ye ha na tronchema 2 misek no ena ne ye di relief items abre omo na afi dormitory na chiye no so no contractor na mo abaside omo twa blocks no mo ambetimi ehu enti no na de sia enti anne ya baha no ya me ehire wunyina edamase
na yakọ asunafo North Municipal Education ene opani a wotu angomasua no ewo ho Owra Samuel Jaton Lal wode afutuo ema mayu asabre eja ase wonum niema asa gina so de aseda piesie ema mpanimfo se wotu anamompa ebeboa mayu yenko na yenkotimra
education service asunafo North is so grateful for what we are seeing here today. The mattresses, 80 of the mattresses, student mattresses, we are seeing blankets, 80 of them, we are seeing buckets, we are seeing cups, and we are also seeing bathing soap. So on behalf of the Ghana Education Service, the Director General of Ghana Education Service, the Regional Director, we are so grateful for what is happening today. That tells us that our stakeholders are happy with what we are doing. If they were not happy with what we are doing, then they wouldn't have responded immediately like that. But that tells us that what we are doing in our schools, they are happy. And so when there is an emergency, then we know we have people to come to our aid. I want to take this opportunity once again to also advise my students, especially the girls. It was girls' dormitory that got burnt. My girls, be very, very careful. Your education is important. Don't allow anybody to stand on your way to frustrate you, that you learn, write your WASI, and proceed to the next level. Don't allow anybody to stand on your way, I repeat. You will also be there, and everybody will be listening to you. Everybody will want to emulate you, and you'll be an asset to your family. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Amayu adiosun so wonum enya dwumadie mu echefa na bi echere wani so de kire mpanimfo se watu anamompa na wa hohiahia abremu no wakowomoa.
What I want to say is that may God richly bless you and grant you to the next level, especially the MC, the MP, and the fellowship. Because we don't have any words to say. But what we want to say is God bless you. God bless you a lot. Because last week, everybody cried because of some challenges and some consequences that happened here.
What we have to say is that we are much grateful. We were sad when the incident happened, but now we are very, very happy for what you have done for us. Thank you all. May God richly bless you. Thank you very, very much.
Mayu ayatisa wonum kasei eye mayu a wonum eko school ewo ahafu mem SHS bride jato wonum dom na ehye wonuma na wonum asebedwani ene aban krach pani eko ho ekoye wonum aje.
Yeah, ko Facebook na yakwa kinkan mwadwenche ni bi ede amamu na Filippo Kwabre kasem en wo kire Master Dambroka kente Fred shop eho en wo won wo kire se bibie nu a esombo na emfaso wo so ewo Ghana yakwa homabo sika ya photosamfo case atofo sembe kinkan ye no emfaso bia kura enhyeda eniso wo se NDC fo o mama bibia aye basa ntia nkoma ne doba echa Felix Frimpon Manson ena ne mame Auntie Mary wo mu nina ewo gini so Filippo ne dia wode eba ye eno no Awr Kumasi 97.7 Facebook no ene eja dem o de messages ne fa ho a ebetumi akenkan ama ye de mo ekọ abanone jata wie mu hyan mu ene atena ne akwa akosi yen ewo Democratic Republic of Congo eho ene wiase Kuba tankasi a wohwe nkabom ebeba United Nations wo mu peni pa de nkane na kufia ne a wenya ne ba bi ekọ na wodi so no mekyerɛ United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres edi atodwa ekyerɛ mu sɛ adeɛ baako asesei ama ewiase menteme ho ase ene ntokwa eba aman ne aman ntem ena afei kromafo ntem no eye fomu agudie eno ne dikan we fomu agudie te se fango ena afei de friend se gold sika akọ ene diamond ne de keka ho a ene na enema aka obo ade ne nyansem wode ema aman ahodo no de beka ne se natural resources no eno nso ene de ntokwa kese pa eba ode atudwa kyerem se ewo se ewiase ni na aman ni na kan won ho bom ehunu se so obi wo fom agudie wo ne man mu a wonu na ho so onya so mfaso enkoba se chenchina obi pese wono okasa asase no ye ne discover ye ne ebehu ye nche ye dia te se de ekoso America ena afei Iraq ni Iran ne de keka ho ni US of A we mechire Israel afei Russia ene Ukraine na no santoko ekoso ni na eyefom agudie anase natural resources yinti ena ma wo mo kon wo chem se wo mu ntwa so kra wo we no se bibiman oman ba ko a wo mo so ntoko esi wo pa ena mefom agudie DR Congo wo de futu ama wo mu se won hwe na obi anso entwe ne ho emfa emfiri ho na no ena wo kopiem ewo Congo wo mo amano ne soafo Theresa Kayikwamba Wagner wodi atudwa ekyiremu se oman no wo mani so ade hu pa ne se wo begina achedi ahodo anyankopon de ama wo no so na wo mama wo man no abekra behwa wodi atu UN mpanifo se entokwa de enya de obema ebiesi biom ewo DR Congo man no emu
yamfa ya ni enchemu ewo Geronda no ewo France abrochi memu eje wonuma na afo apoye fam ye kasai eneja ano adempa atoho ahia kwachiri ato nwura wonum kwaye abreto nim nyina mu no eja no hia na ehiko na ye France aban 1% obetena wa ya nhwehan na bibi besi ansa na wasa akopɛ hu sika no ntino ene wa ya nhyehyɛ ama wiem hyen abasisa enipa mako empem aduonu 20,000 ene de wonum afiri ho na womo a wabasisa womo dodo no a wonum eye camp omukɔ camp ewo miamia bi ewo anasa campsite bi ene omo ha eja eto honum ampanimfo yi ekwasisa wonum nyina edi efiri ho na asase no me tentene nen emu ba tetrete a eja no ase no de beka na sa hectares no mako empem miensa aduanan 34,000 hectares of land ena ene eja no ase no enam so ene emu adoma wonum wo nwura mu no obi e pe baabi ede ne ti afa Dumija adwuma ekuo nipa mako ahenso ena mpanimfo ate wonum agum se gya aso no wonum nyina emmoa na afe ejana no emra se ne ntumi antre amfa nkɔ mia foforo bi Abraham say na wiem hyen ekotito Benin City ewo Nigeria say obi emu amanebo a abane se nyankopon adom nti obi a antoa nananom ewo ensiedo ase nanse wiem hyen tito no adoso dodo kwanhia na fra asase so na ate ase wiem Kasia ni na esi ensemedi mu akotini ebi enese Ghana photo samfo onimonyamfo Dr. Kesel ato forcing ede afini mpa mu yakoma bosika ho nsem akwakoto mrahebedwafo anima Ghana fo ni nanso yenya bi etie Dom kuma no pani a wada wonma no ewo Ghana mrahebedwafo ni nyamfo Alexander Afenyoma kenene na wo bisa eye photo samfo no se nya number ni a opesa Ghana obi de nsahye ne botomu a nsa ekosi sikaso Asantemenra Otumfo se Tutu ababio abo Ghana posifo abaso titiru Ghana posi sahene Openi Christian tete Yohonu ene ne Black Maria Tima womo abepiem ewo Asantemantema woboa ama asumdwe ni titiru womo adi ni bone hu dwane ni nanso eko efom Openi pa na woda NAFCO National Food Buffer Stock Company ano na wo share na lawyer for one chokrata emfanko koto na fei kwadu aduonu ayede abono kansacha ye mfiri mumra sasemi eda so ewo koto ebe firi mu aba no odi mchiri to ewiase nkabom batan ni kuo kase pa ede atudwa se ama hodo no wo bi anhwe na wo nyai se esan fom agudie ntino
entokokwa ena ekoso ewo wiase
wo France abrochimemu no eja ato eye geronde no ewo anafo ato yemu sabre aban no abomode e de wemhyen abakosesa enipa pii e de efi
wei ene ensenkaye bi ena ene yawada enwumre kita wonsa bosume de toso eduonu miensa wa fimpino ene eduonu ensiemu apesemakafo ye fa bre betina nkonwa so de besumu se enwumre no nsian kasebo wo Adventist World Radio Kumasi 97.7 FM so kasiei unye bi eteya na eye Haxa mixture ano osatafo kasiye ena afiata mami herbal clinic womo adawroma Facebook AWR Kumasi 97.7 ena YouTube AWR Kumasi 97.7 na nayao aduma kompreku Oliver ena ediyen ekoho Emmanuel Frimpong echinchin fidie no emfuruma emayen awrkumasi.com wonsa kan wo ho sanso ena AWR Kumasi app no wonsa ekan yen ewoso akenkan fo amote yeni enwumre eyeme ni ansa mene
abina aduma ko
yemamumo enitia adishe